What's going on, guys? This is Mr. DeLorean here. Welcome back to a brand new video. And today what I want to do is break down the new trailer we got for The Walking Dead World Beyond Season 1. Now, like a lot of my other trailer breakdowns for the trailers that we got, like, The Walking Dead's virtual Comic-Con panels or all the panels, is I will be only going over new shots, not old shots, because obviously I did, multiple videos on, old shots earlier this, I think year, not earlier this year, but a couple months ago. And I did one for The Walking Dead World Beyond's first trailer, which I will link down below, so you guys can watch that and get some, breakdowns for these other shots I will not be mentioning in this video. But so this trailer is awesome and everything because, one, it's probably the best trailer they've put out for World Beyond, in my opinion, out of all the trailers and teasers and sneak peeks we've gotten. But yeah, besides all that, let's hop right into breaking down the trailer for The Walking Dead World Beyond Season 1. So the first few shots of this trailer are obviously very quick, mind-blowing and everything. They're really quick. And what it shows is a ton of walkers, tons of fire, a crashed plane that's obviously split in half, which we've been seeing this plane all over the sneak peeks and all of the trailers. And that's mainly because I'm assuming it'll be a big focus in at least the first couple of episodes or the first season of the show. And I've heard during when I was watching the virtual Comic-Con panel for The Walking Dead World Beyond, I think it was the showrunner or someone behind the show, a big person behind the show, and they said that this will be categorized as the night the sky fell or the night the sky falls, whatever. And this will be obviously a flashback where we'll get Hope and I think Iris is, I think that's her character's name, where we'll get a flashback of them and with their early childhood and everything. And this will be I think the episode name will be the night the sky fell, or that would be the situation of the night the sky fell, or that's what it'll be called. But this, I'm assuming, will be a plane crash, and obviously the people inside will obviously transform into walkers. And I'm assuming this will be the plane will crash, and I'm assuming this might be the beginning of the apocalypse for Iris and Hope. And obviously their parents will be running around, everyone will be running around, there'll be walkers from the plane, everything on fire, running around. Because obviously in the earlier trailer we did get to see Iris and Hope and everything with their dad, I think Leo, and their mother being split apart, but obviously they'll be reunited, and obviously the communities. And the reason I say this is probably the beginning of the apocalypse is because if you do look behind one of the shots, we do get an entire lineup of cars, which obviously could mean obviously there's just cars lying around the apocalypse, usually based on The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, obviously this show. But this could have been Iris's and Hope's parents trying to get them to safety, everyone's evacuating areas and stuff. But then obviously this plane will crash, and obviously the plane is in the way, and obviously Iris's and Hope's parents and all of them can't get around the plane, so everyone has to always get out and run around and everything. And obviously this will create chaos, which is why I assume that everyone's running, there's all those cars, is that this is probably the beginning of the apocalypse when everyone's trying to evacuate. The next shot is we do get Iris on top of this rooftop and everything. It looks like a bit maybe a hotel or a business building, but it looks more like a hotel. And we do see her on top, and she's in her full grown mode, how we'll be seeing her for the rest of the trailers and most likely throughout season 1. And we see Iris on top of this hotel, like I said, and she has this telescope where she's most likely watching out people, or looking at people or spying on people. And I do wonder if this is after they escape from their communities or before, which I'm assuming this is after. And even if this is after or before, I do wonder who she is or who her group is spying on with obviously the telescope. And when the shot does back up for her, we do see all these numbers tallying I'm assuming many I'm assuming how many days or weeks or months the apocalypse has been going on for, because I think it has been said that this will take place 10 years into the apocalypse. So obviously this is someone's been keeping track on how many days. But like I said, the main questions for these shots are is this pre them leaving the communities, or is this after they leave the communities, and who are they spying on? And in kind of the shot, I'm not sure if it's a new shot or an old shot, but it's definitely very interesting to look at, because I think we see Iris and Hope together and everything, hugging, and I'm not sure who the person is next to them. It might be their father, possibly, because obviously Iris's and Hope's mother is never really mentioned throughout we only see their father. So if it's their father holding them and everything, because we do see people get split apart in the trailer, so I do wonder if that's their mother maybe being killed, and that's why we only see their father. And maybe this is the night that they lose their mother and everything, and that's yet again why we only see their father, because we see Iris and possibly Hope Hope, like, you know, screaming. So maybe they're like obviously like terrified and horrified that their mother might be getting like, you know, eaten by walkers, or as the show is like, gonna call them empties. Next we see Iris in kind of this maybe therapy room, or just talking to someone more. Look, like maybe it's therapy, maybe she's just talking to her father, a friend, Hope. But she kind of mentions saying, how can I live for myself? And she does kind of look very serious, so I do wonder who she's talking to. But also this room does look very familiar to a shot that we saw in one of the earlier trailers to The Walking Dead World Beyond. Like, you know, this room kind of, because there was this like, you know, one shot that everyone was saying like, you know, is this Pamela Milne from, I think, the Commonwealth for the main show, or more so the comics? That woman, kind of like old lady that kind of, I think, had the necklace or like, you know, the ear piercings. But this room, I think, might be familiar to that, or like, you know, be that room. The next shot is kind of this, I'm assuming it looks like maybe in front of like a school, a government building, or like maybe like a library. And if we do look kind of to like, you know, the bottom, I think, right of the screen, we do get this kind of post that says Monument Day, commemorate tomorrow. And obviously, if you guys don't know what Monument Day is for, like, you know, The Walking Dead World Beyond, apparently, as it was explained at the Comic-Con panel, it's kind of like, you know, the community's like, you know, celebrating like, you know, the future, but also looking on the back on the past. And this kind of looks like maybe like a bit of like a fair, you know, they're like, you know, celebrating tomorrow, you know, looking back on the past. So I wonder if this is like, you know, like I said, a bit of a fair or like a, you know, a celebration ceremony. With the next shot, we do get this kind of like like one shot where like, you know, Iris is on like this mic talking, and if you do look closely, you can see, I think the character's name is Elizabeth, and I think she's with the CRM, like, you know, one of their main lieutenants or whatever, or one of their main, like, you know, leaders. And she's sitting there as Iris is speaking, and I do wonder, what is this like ceremony? Obviously it's Monument Day and everything. That was a dumb question. And they're celebrating 10 years of the apocalypse. And on the thing it says, remember obviously the past, preserve, like, you know, with each other. And obviously I think it says thrive after that, meaning like, you know, celebrating tomorrow. And if we do look at the other banner, it's a Civil Republic, Portland, and Omaha, I think, which I'm assuming is like, you know, the CRM, obviously like the communities, or like, you know, places for where the communities are based. And obviously we get the CRM kind of symbol above that. Next we see this bus kind of leaving, and it looks a bit maybe like a prison bus, although I'm more so saying it maybe it's like a community bus to get from community to community safely, obviously with like, you know, soldiers on the bus and everything. Maybe it's like, you know, like I said, a prison bus, a school bus, or maybe like a community bus where, you know, they use it to get from place to place. But weirdly enough, if you look like, you know, on like that one car, or more of so maybe like go-kart or golf cart, you see this kind of symbol that says CC, I think. And if you look back at the banner from the most, like, you know, the previous shot, we do see also on one of the banners it says CC. So I do wonder what this, like, you know, means. And obviously this is like, you know, where they are right now is obviously one of the communities. And obviously, like, you know, we do see a truck leading, like, you know, the people. So yet again, this could be like, you know, a security truck for prisoners, kids, or, you know, just the people of the community just taking a ride to another place. But in the next shot, and we have seen this shot before, but I do want to go back to it just to kind of question what's going on, because we do see a ton of walkers on the outside of this gate, which I'm assuming it's like, you know, the gate to one of the communities. But I do wonder, why are these walkers here? Like, and also, are they about to break into one of the communities to cause chaos? Or is this just showing us how, like, strong communities are, that they could, like, you know, hold out all these walkers and, you know, still, like, thrive and everything and live, and they're gonna show them taking out the walkers. Now with the next shot, yet again, it's very similar to one that we've already seen before with, like, you know, Felix, that one of the characters standing in front of the chopper as it's landing. But we do get this new shot of the character Elizabeth with two CRM soldiers walking behind her, like, and it looks extremely badass, because like the soldiers look like awesome, especially with, like, you know, the face helmets, or like, you know, helmets, the choppers, the guns and everything. They all look very cool. And I do wonder what's gonna happen in this situation, because obviously, like, you know, Felix, the kids, and a bunch of people are gonna be standing behind this gate as they, like, you know, they're meeting with the CRM people. And what's very weird about this, like, you know, sequence is because yet again, in a previous trailer that we got, like, you know, a while back, we did see the character Hope kind of standing behind this bus that, like, you know, she goes and flips off Elizabeth. And what's weird is the bus that was in that scene, that was, like, you know, in this scene, but it's not shown in this trailer, looks very similar to the one that was leaving one of the communities. So I do wonder if, like, you know, that bus was, like, you know, leaving one of the communities and everything, obviously to, like, maybe transport the kids or, like, you know, people to, like, you know, their, like, you know, another community through the helicopter. And obviously, as, like, you know, the kids were getting to this location to, like, you know, meet, like, I think Elizabeth, or maybe get transported somewhere else, walkers started started surrounding them, and obviously the CRM showed up to kill the walkers, and obviously this is where Felix and Elizabeth might meet. Now, yet again, another shot they've seen before, but also it has new meaning because of something that was said in the at the Comic-Con panel, is that we do see Hope hugging her father, Leo, I think that's his name, and she says, our dad's in trouble, and we have to go get him and everything, that whole mumbo jumbo. But at the Comic-Con panel, it was said that, you know, Leo, by I think Leo himself, aka Joe Holt, that their father is, I think, something in medicine or a doctor or someone who's like, you know, studying to find maybe the cure for this, you know, the whole zombie outbreak, and he was transported to a whole nother community and everything, and obviously everyone's very sad that he's leaving. I'm not sure if his like leave was by like, you know, choice or by like, you know, force, but nonetheless he's leaving, and obviously like, you know, the characters like Hope and Iris are obviously very sad, but he was going to another community to obviously train other people in, you know, medicine and being a doctor or a nurse, and obviously like to help try to find the cure for this. And that's obviously the whole reason that they're leaving, to obviously go find their father, because maybe he's in trouble, but obviously I'm not sure if he's like, you know, in trouble in the sense of like, you know, maybe he's like, you know, being harmed, or obviously like, you know, his community's being surrounded, or if the kids are just leaving to go just see their father. And obviously Iris, or not Iris, but obviously Hope does not trust the CRM, so maybe they're gonna go find their father to, you know, escape the CRM. And obviously in the next shot we do see, yet again, we've seen it before, we do see Iris and Hope and everything, and obviously Iris is devising like this plan to, you know, get out of the CRM and everything and go find their father. And Hope's kind of a bit worried, where she's like, you know, we could die, but then Iris says we could live, you know, to see our father and everything. And we do see a ton of people like, you know, behind them and everything. I do wonder why these people are here. Maybe they're for like, you know, the ceremony of Monument Day, maybe. The next shot is yet again something I've seen before, but it has like kind of this like, you know, not new meaning, but I really do like the shot. We do see all of our characters, you know, just leaving this one area, and we see like the shot overlooking where they're going, and we just see all four of our characters just leave. And I don't know why, but there's nothing really to break down besides, yep, they're escaping, they're leaving, they're going to like, you know, find their father and everything, leaving like, you know, the communities. But it's just cool to see like, you know, the shot, because it's showing like, you know, all four of them ready to venture out into the world. And we do see the two other characters, Silas and Elton. Next we get the shot of kind of this like, you know, broken in half bridge, and we do see like, you know, this like dock and everything, the water, which while there's nothing really to break down about this shot really much besides, you know, the broken bridge showing like, you know, time and everything collapsed, like, you know, the civilization collapsing, which is very, look, it does look very cool by the way, the bridge, but there's nothing really to break down in this shot. This next shot is actually pretty cool, because we do see like, you know, this area is like, like, you know, pretty much covered in smoke, which I'm not sure why there's like so much smoke. Maybe there's like a huge fire nearby, which is something that we'll get to in a bit later. And we do see tons of walkers, you know, tons of school buses, or at least they look like school buses. Yeah, again, tons of smoke. And as we do see in like, you know, the old trailer and everything, or the like, you know, the first trailer, it's obviously our characters will be running like, you know, for their lives through this, obviously killing walkers and everything. Next we see four of our characters, you know, Iris, Hope, Elton, and Silas, all walking past this like, you know, hole, which I do wonder what this hole is, like, you know, how this hole was created, you know, what caused it. Maybe like, you know, a sinkhole, maybe a satellite fell into it, which would be an interesting concept. Next we see a bunch of walkers kind of just falling into the water as they like, you know, try to possibly chase after something, until we do see our four characters, like, you know, Hope, Elton, Iris, and, you know, Silas. They're all like, you know, going across the lake on this little like, I'm assuming like, you know, self-made boat, or like, you know, this little raft. And this shot's very interesting because we do get to see our characters like, you know, they're going out into their world, venturing into new lands with obviously on this boat. But I do wonder what's gonna happen. Like, are they gonna fall off the boat? Because obviously they had to run for their lives and everything, obviously from this group of walkers, and make it to the boat. But if we do look kind of like, you know, a little outwards, we do see a bunch of like, you know, buildings and everything. It looks to be like, you know, a tall business building, or, you know, hotel. But we do see a couple of buildings off in the like, you know, the distance. Next we do get this shot of Elton, like, you know, the character Elton, just kind of looking around. Obviously he has a mask on, there's tons of smoke around him, which like, you know, incites that this is most likely the part where they're all like running through the buses, running away from walkers, while like, you know, that area with tons of smoke, tons of walkers and all of them. We pan over to Iris as she's like, you know, putting on her mask and everything, most likely all of them getting ready to run. Also, if you do kind of look on Iris's kind of like, you know, sleeve or elbow, you kind of could see or can see some like, you know, red or orange reflecting off. So maybe this is like, you know, the fire, you know, they're like, you know, near the fire, near where like the smoke's starting to build up. Next we get a shot of the character Huck and Hope and everything. They're talking, and obviously like, you know, Huck's giving her a rundown on the world, saying like, you know, your sister and your friends are all counting on you. So I'm assuming that, you know, Hope will be like, you know, the leader of this group. And it also looks like they're maybe on top of like, you know, a dock rock, a building, or maybe on top of a boat. We then get this shot of like, you know, Hope. She's obviously surrounded by tons of walkers in the woods, most likely all of them walking on this like, you know, small little like, you know, dirt path. And Hope takes out this like, you know, weapon that's like, you know, very weird and is shown a couple of times in this trailer. It looks like this stick and like a blade pops on the end, and obviously she's about to like, you know, go ham on some walkers, kill some walkers. And this weapon does look very cool. I wonder if it's gonna be like her iconic weapon, but it does look very cool by the way and everything. Obviously she's scared, she's surrounded by all these walkers. She might get her first kill here, or you know, one of her many kills, but it does look cool nonetheless. The next shot is kind of scary because we do get like, you know, this walker on top of Iris, and obviously it's very close to her face and she's trying for dear life to push it off of her. And we do see her in this like, you know, the same jacket that she was in when she was putting on her mask and they were all in the smoke. And we do see like, you know, smoke around her, so I wonder if like, you know, while they're going through like, you know, the smoke, the buses and all the walkers, if they're gonna run into some trouble. Next we go into like, you know, this house and everything. We do see Silas yet again, like Iris was in the last shot, fighting off this walker that's like, you know, coming at him. And what's weird is this house does look kind of fine. Obviously it's abandoned, maybe it's an abandoned house, or maybe this is before they leave the communities, but I'm assuming this is after. We do see Silas yet again fighting off the walker, possibly gonna get his like, you know, first kill. So yet again I'm assuming this is like, you know, after they leave the communities and maybe searching through a house. But the next shot is extremely weird because it's like, it kind of has this bit of color grade over it where like, you know, goes from like, you know, red and everything and all this, like, you know, it looks very weird. But we do see the character Huck, and she's in this like, you know, military type outfits, obviously like, you know, military uniform. She has this kind of assault rifle with other people, like it looks behind her, and I'm assuming this is gonna be a flashback into Huck's like, you know, past or early life when she was possibly in the military, Marines or whatever, or just army. But the lights do go like, you know, red and everything. Yet again, I'm not sure if this is a flashback or not, but the lights do go red. We see other soldiers behind her, we see a door, so this is clearly inside maybe some sort of compound, and the lights go off or, you know, emergency starts. But next, and this shot looks very nice in my opinion. I don't know what it is about it, but it just looks like a nice shot. We do see 4 walkers just walking on this field and everything up a hill towards maybe one of our characters, or just showing the area. But then this next shot, I don't know if it's cheesy horror or whatever, but it does look kind of cool. We do see this walker that has like beehives all over it, or wasp hives all over anything, and it does look very cool because this walker is clearly like extremely old, and it opens its mouth and all these like, you know, wasp or bees and everything just fly out of it. And I just think it's really cool, and it's sitting on this like little park bench. This is most like in an area where characters are passing by and they just happen to see this probably, but it looks really cool nonetheless. Some people might like, you know, criticize it for being a bit like, you know, cheesy horror where they have all like, you know, the things fly out of it, but it looks cool. Next we see our character Iris and anything walking in like, you know, in around this like area where I'm assuming it's like a store, obviously, because she does get like, you know, scared by a mannequin. She's holding like a shotgun, I think, but she gets scared by a mannequin, so I'm assuming this is like a clothing store, just like, you know, a hardware store, just something, but most like a clothing store because I don't think they have like, you know, mannequins in hardware stores now that I think about it. But she does get like, you know, scared by this like, you know, mannequin, obviously like, you know, jolts back. Next we get the character Felix and Ellen talking in this hallway that looks obviously like a bit of a school, because obviously you can see the desk and everything all flipped upside down. This could be like an office building, but I'm assuming more of a school because the desks do look like, you know, more school-like. And obviously, where did we see something else that looked a bit like a school? We saw the school buses earlier, like I said, in that shot where it was surrounded by smoke. So I do wonder if this is a place that they're hiding out in or anything before they do run out into like, you know, the smoke, or if this is like, you know, where they're bunkering down after running through it. Next we get our character Hope and everything stabbing this walker, which is a very cool like, you know, like kill and everything, because we do see her stab her with this like, it looks like a flashlight with like a spear on the end of it, or this like little like sharp edge on the end of it. And it does look really cool. This is clearly at night where they're like, you know, her and her like, you know, friends are obviously taking on a bunch of walkers. Next we see our character Felix and everything yet again walking throughout the school, or more of a school setting. He does look like he's like looking for something, maybe like, you know, one of our characters like hears something like a walker maybe, and he's about to go up and kill it. Next we see all these like, you know, walkers and everything walking up against like, you know, some wire, most likely to, you know, wire that someone set up to obviously tell when walkers are nearby. And I'm not sure if this is the area where the CRM shoot all those walkers, most likely not, but it's interesting to think about. And once we get like, you know, a bit of a further shot and like, you know, kind of a panning shot, we do see that there's a lot of walkers here, and some of them do look actually pretty fucked up and cool actually. Next we get the character Ellen and everything, and just walking in this field, which looks very similar to the last shot we did see inside a field. And he has kind of on like, you know, his normal like suit outfit, which was like, you know, discussed and was pretty funny inside the Comic-Con panel where they discussed his like, you know, little suit. But we do see he has this wrench, or like, you know, wrench or whatever in the back of his backpack, and I'm assuming this will be his weapon and everything, since he does use it a little bit more like, you know, further into the trailer. But he does say like, you know, we are the beginning and everything, or something like that. And he does have blood all over him, or like, you know, at least like on some of him. So I'm do wonder if this is like, you know, after he like got a kill, or, you know, just didn't do his laundry, I don't know. But next shot is like, is very revealing because it shows something that's like, gonna be a really big like, scene in this show. But we do get a lighter hitting, I'm assuming some gasoline or some oil, most likely gasoline or anything, and obviously ignites and just lights up. And then we see like, a wider shot and everything of the area where you do see some walkers, maybe our characters. We do obviously see like that, the floor ignites and everything with tons of fire. But next we see all 4 of our characters and everything just staring at, this burning area, which does look like maybe a school, a factory, an entire town. I have no clue. But obviously one of them dropped the, like, the lighter and obviously ignited this entire, like, place up in flames. And it does look like they're on the, like, one of those things that I'm not sure what they're called, but, it's, like, this thing that floats on water and everything, has tons of chains around it. And they're most likely on the water floating away or got away to another area where, like, across a lake or something. And they're obviously watching this place burn to the ground with tons of walkers inside it. Next, we see all of our characters and everything. Yet again, it's kind of similar to a shot that we've seen before. We do see our characters Hope, Elton, and Silas running through, the school buses, the fog. And we do see that, like, Hope has the weapon that I was talking about earlier and everything, her badass weapon with, like, the spear, like, and everything, with the extendable blade, which does look very cool. And they're clearly running from, like, all the walkers and everything, trying to get to their destination, most likely the school, because we do see a building that they're running to in the back, maybe. But I think we see some of our characters that this might be Hope, I think, or, Iris, but they're trying to close a door on, like, one of the walkers, or some, like, a whole group of walkers and everything, and obviously they can't close it because obviously, like, all the walkers are trying to get through and some get stuck in the door. But what's really weird is how this shot looks very similar also to the shot that we did see earlier that I said might be a flashback, where we did see Huck and everything in full army military uniform. So I do wonder if maybe, Huck found the uniform or whatever, or if this is like, a different setting, and everything, or that will be a flashback and this will be a current shot. But then next we see the character Felix, which with obviously Iris behind him, and I don't know why, but like obviously he has a bump on his head, meaning he might have gotten hit or whatever, but he does look extremely fucked up in this shot. Like he looks like, terrified, scared, and or maybe extremely sad. Like maybe someone that he knows got maybe killed, or he's having like a flashback to something like sometime, because obviously it was mentioned inside the Comic-Con panel that he does have a bit of a, like, a fucked up, traumatizing past. So I do wonder if he's having like a bit of a flashback or a trauma moment. Next we do get the character Elton and everything. Obviously he has tons of blood all over him and everything. He's standing in that field, like, that we saw the walkers in, like, recently, or, in a past shot. So I do wonder if this is him after he killed, like, some of those walkers with his badass, like, wrench weapon. Next we have the character Silas sitting on, I'm assuming, road or roof, or just in, like, a room or something out, or somewhere outside. And he's like, blowing smoke, or like, maybe it's cold outside and, that's, I don't know what the hell it's called, science. Maybe he's smoking a cigarette outside or something, but it does look like he's like, maybe relaxing after obviously getting away from all the walkers and just like, spending the night relaxing. But next we do get the character, I think, Iris, yeah, that's her name, Iris. And she's looking down and she's like kind of crying a little bit. And obviously I think this is Felix or Huck or maybe one of the characters in front of her. But I do wonder if she's crying, and obviously that's why Felix does look like, maybe fucked up, as I wonder if one of their characters might have gotten bitten and maybe are dying, or, have to get a limb amputated. Obviously, like, one of the many characters that could be, like, dying or bitten in this scene are, Felix. Oh, obviously it's not Felix, obviously, like, he looks a bit fucked up, so obviously he's crying over someone. So it could be Hope, Elton, Huck, Iris, or, Silas that have been, like, bitten, or, or, like, dying. Next, we get both of the characters, Huck and Felix and everything. They're inside this, like, brick building and everything, and both are crying and, are hugging each other. So I do wonder if it's, like, after, like, maybe they lost someone, or they're, having an emotional scene, which should be very interesting. And obviously next we do get the character Iris and, Hope and everything, both sisters hugging each other and having a nice moment, which is cool to show 2 nice moments in, like, a row and everything, especially after all this, like, madness in the trailer. Next we get, like, Ellen or everything standing in this field, obviously after, like, killing some walkers with his badass wrench weapon. And these are clearly maybe the walkers on the field, and this is obviously why he does look kind of, like, bloody and everything, obviously tired from killing all the walkers. And this might sound very weird, and obviously, like, if, you're pretty, like, young, you won't understand this, but in the movie, I think The Night of the Living Dead, I think that's, like, the film. There's many films that obviously are in black and white, have zombies in them, but it reminds me of that, like, graveyard scene, or, like, cemetery scene, when obviously, like, that guy's, like, I think with his wife or girlfriend, he's like, they're coming for you, Barbara, like, kind of joking around with her. And obviously Ellen with the suit on and everything, and his stance and his height and everything, for some reason he reminds me of that guy. I have no clue why. Next we have the character Iris, and I'm assuming yet again the school, as we can see by, like, the bleachers, pointing her shotgun at maybe like, you know, an enemy, or maybe like, you know, lowering it from like, you know, one of her friends or someone friendly, or pointing at a walker or someone. I have no clue, but this is clearly in a school and everything. It's trying to be about to kill someone or putting a weapon down. Next, we see Hope again, yet again with her badass, like, you know, blade flipping up and everything, obviously inside like, you know, the schoolyard where the buses are, the smokers and the walkers. But next we do see Huck and Hope and everything back to back. Obviously this is the exact same scene where we did see like, you know, Hope earlier putting up her weapon with all the walkers. So obviously like, you know, Hope and Huck and everything are back to back about to kill some walkers and everything in the woods. But this also does look like the scene where we do see like, you know, Felix and Iris and everything, and obviously Felix looks very fucked up and obviously Iris is crying. So I do wonder who might die in this scene. Maybe it's like, you know, Silas, since he hasn't been shown, or maybe it's like, you know, Elton, or yet again, like I said before, someone might be getting the like, you know, arm or legs or something amputated. But this is a cool shot nonetheless, or a cool sequence, obviously because they're gonna be fighting walkers and it's gonna be very cool. But next we get Cyrus, and yet again this like kind of red light area and everything, and obviously he starts running at someone or something very angrily and everything, and he runs at them and maybe tackles them or kills them, and he looks very angry and he just runs at them. So I'm wondering if maybe he sacrifices himself when those walkers are trying to get through the door and he runs at them and he dies. I don't know, most likely not and everything, but he's clearly charging at someone or something, like a walker or a person, to kill them or hurt them. Next we see Felix, you know, we see Elton, we see the rest of our group and everything behind, like, you know, them. We do see Felix, where she does look very badass with his mask on and like, you know, his stance and like his outfit and everything. We do see his weapon, where it looks like a bit of like a spear maybe, and he's obviously going to kill a walker, which is just very badass and cool nonetheless. Obviously in the schoolyard with the smoke, I've mentioned it 1,000 times and everything, where the setting does show up a lot in this trailer. We do see Huck inside this building that's like burning down and everything, killing some walkers. This does look like maybe the school, or that one building that obviously like, or the setting that gets like ignited and everything when they go on that like, you know, thing in the middle of the water. We do see this walker get killed. I can't tell who kills the walker, but it's this walker that gets like, you know, killed, or I think decapitated out in the middle of like, you know, the dark woods and everything. I think we do see a bit of like a shack or a house like, you know, behind them. I'm not sure. This shot's like extremely quick. Next we see Iris with Elton, and I think Felix or Hope behind her and everything. And obviously she's killing a walker, very badass. And obviously I think this is the scene where she like, you know, throws up on that one walker, which was mentioned at the panels and what is in the past trailer, which was a very funny scene. Then we see, you know, Silas, I think, kill a walker, which is very cool. Then we see Ellen kill a walker, and I think very badass. I think this is out in the field where he kills them with his like, you know, his wrench, which they all might be out in that area, but it's very badass nonetheless to see them all get maybe their first kills, or, you know, just killing walkers in general. And maybe this is like their training to like, you know, killing walkers by like, you know, Huck and Felix. Next we do see Iris in the dark and everything. Yet again, could be her in that like last quick dark shot that killed that walker, but it's yet again a very quick shot. She kills a walker out in the dark and everything. We do see this place behind her that looks just like an old building. Next we do see this walker obviously got killed and everything in this red like, you know, lighted room, which could be the walker that like, or something that like, you know, Silas was running at in that one scene and everything. But it's like, you know, it's very hard to tell where this area is. We do get a shot of Hope with her iconic weapon and everything, obviously after killing a walker and everything. We're about to kill some more, and obviously yet again smoke schoolyard. And that was the final shot of the trailer. We do get, you know, after that world, The Walking Dead World Beyond, a 2-season limited event, which is obviously, depending on how the show will be, it's actually kind of sad or isn't sad that, you know, it's only 2 seasons, and obviously it drops October 4th after The Walking Dead season 10 finale. But yep, that was the end of the trailer and everything. That was my breakdown. Definitely, yet again, like I said before, the best trailer they've put out for the show. Tons of interesting things, like, you know, our group and everything going through that schoolyard, killing all those walkers, and obviously them floating away on that little like raft. That kind of maybe flashback with Huck and everything. Obviously all of them killing the walkers, all the iconic weapons. Just too many like, you know, moments or anything obviously like, you know, just say and mention here and everything. But definitely, yet again, best trailer. Loved it. It was an amazing trailer. The panel was obviously amazing. But yet again, like, you know, that was my breakdown for The Walking Dead World Beyond season 1 trailer. Did you guys like this trailer? What was like, you know, the best moments inside and everything? Are you guys excited for The Walking Dead World Beyond season 1's premiere like October 4th? And were there any moments that I missed in this trailer that maybe you picked up on, or something that I didn't like, you know, notice in one shot that I did mention? I will link the trailer down below so you guys could of course check that out and anything, and maybe correct me if I missed something, or maybe like, you know, just mention something that was wrong. But yeah, that was my breakdown and everything. I hope you guys did enjoy this video and everything. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more of the latest The Walking Dead universe and more trailer breakdowns like this. And I'll see you guys later, my amigos, and peace out.